Good evening, Rocky Run families. Thank you for joining us tonight. Before we move any further, please make sure that you have watched the video that we put together for students to access. That video will set the stage for the information that will be shared in this presentation. My name is Mr. Zishan, but I usually go by Mr. Z. Obviously, we would love to be with you in person as we start our work together with your students in our middle school years. But we trust the information we're going to share today will still serve to prepare you and your students for their transition to middle school and assist with getting you guys the best experience possible here at Rocky Run. Our counseling team is pictured here, and we're actually going to be presenting in the order, as you can see, from left to right, beginning with myself, Miss Larson, Miss Bay, and at the very end, Miss Ivy. Before we get into the particulars of our school, we want to spend some time considering the middle school years in general for our kids. These years accompany a rapid growth, physical growth, and curiosity for our students about their world and an emerging self-identity. Here at Rocky Run, we are a RAMP school, meaning that we're a nationally recognized ASCA model program. And as ASCA support counselors, work with students to help them focus on their academic, career, and social emotional development so they can achieve success in school and beyond that, and prepare them to lead fulfilling lives as responsible members of society. Counselors impact these years by having a comprehensive counseling program, and we collaborate with school staff and parents and the community to create a safe, respectful learning environment whereby young adolescents can maximize their personal and academic achievement. Middle school is a great time for our students to explore things. They have a lot more opportunity to choose their classes and their activities. So we really want to encourage you and your students to try new things, join different types of clubs, and stretch their comfort levels as they discover their strengths and what kind of options are out there in terms of classes, but also areas of study and areas to get involved in. You can get more information in the spring when we continue to provide transition-focused meetings. But also please be sure to check out some recent SEL parent coffee recordings that we've shared to help build your information about how to support your students' development at home and their preparation for middle school.
The counseling program in middle school looks a little bit different than it did in elementary school. Counselors at middle school are much more involved in the academic realm. We work with teachers during team meetings to find out different ways to support students. We recognize that if there's some issues going on, we try to see if it's unique to one class or if it is something going on across the board of core classes. We do help develop the schedules and make any changes or fixes that are necessary if your child has an issue with a class or a schedule needs a schedule change. But more so, we're looking at supporting students across their classes if they're having difficulties, if something's getting in the way of their learning, and also helping them adjust to having grades, as this is the first time that they'll have real letter grades. As counselors, we also focus on the personal and social areas. This can be anything like kids having issues with friends, helping them to adjust to the new middle school environment, or if they're faced with difficult situations outside of school. You know, maybe it's a sports-related issue, maybe it is something like a sick grandparent or the death of a family pet, anything that is really getting in the way of their being able to show up and focus on the learning that they should be doing at school. Counseling programs at middle school also have a future planning component where we look at goal setting and the exploration piece of what is beyond the K through 12 education. And we do this in a variety of format. We work with students one-on-one and have individual counseling. We also have small group counseling when we see that students are showing a need in a similar area. And this can range from the academically oriented groups to things that focus on maybe some of the more personal or social issues. We give classroom lessons for all of our students that really allow each and every student at Rocky Run to get access to our counseling curriculum. And we do also run some clubs and activities that support our school counseling program as well. So our curriculum, which focuses on the classroom guidance piece is important because this is our way of making sure that all students have access to the information. We run several lessons throughout the year, and sometimes we deliver them directly in classrooms, and sometimes they're put out through our Rock Time classes. But the biggest pieces that we find that we take year to year are lessons on stress management, because we recognize that the transition to middle school can bring about some stress for our students. We really like to focus on growth mindset because it's helpful to have our students approach tasks from this way that shows that they might just not be able to do something yet, rather than I can't do it. We've taken a strong lead on promoting lessons with social emotional learning this year. And you can see the subtopics there, but really helping our students to connect with others. To support the academic skills, we do lessons on executive functioning, which helps to promote organization, task prioritization, time management, and skills such as that. Each year for seventh graders, we do a wellness screener that helps them to learn the ACT acronym of Acknowledge, Care, and Tell, and be aware of things that they themselves might be feeling, or maybe things that their friends are feeling. And then additionally, for that career planning piece, we look at the academic and career plan, which is a Virginia state requirement. And there are components for seventh graders that focus on goal setting, which can be both personal and academic, as well as a strengths explorer and a resume builder.
So now I'd like to talk a little bit about the middle school structure. All students are placed on teams, and this means that every student on a particular team has the same English, history, science teachers, as well as the same counselor and assistant principal. Math is not a class that is on team, as our students are in varying levels of math. So the team of teachers meets bi-weekly to discuss students, assignments, support plans, and celebrate successes. So we highly encourage you to reach out to your child's counselor or the administrator if there's ever something you want to discuss or share with teachers. We do not have the same parent-teacher conference as you may be used to in elementary school, because your student will now have a pretty large number of teachers. So if there's anything you ever want to discuss or a concern you want to share, or any information that you feel would be helpful to the teachers, please feel free to communicate that through the counselors and again, or the administrator, since we are meeting in teams regularly, we will be able to communicate that efficiently and quickly. All right, so as I said, all of our students are taking 4 core classes, so English, history, science, and math. So you will also see something called the Learning Seminar, or what we call Rock Time, on their schedule. And this is a non-academic class that's usually, it's like a homeroom where students can complete homework assignments or projects. They can also, work with specific teachers if there's anything they need to complete, or perhaps they missed some days and need to make up some work. This is a pretty flexible time that students can use for the things that they need. They can also read during this time, visit the library to check out books, or work together for smaller group projects. Lots of activities are run through Rock Time, especially any that need to reach the entire student body. In addition to these 5 classes, every student will also be taking health and PE, which leaves us with 2 year-long elective slots. And now I will go into breaking down how students can take electives. The first way is to take 2 year-long electives, which means that at no point during the school year will their schedule change. They will continue to stay in the year-long electives they have chosen from August to June. Another option is that students may be interested in taking only 1 year-long elective, which will then leave room in their schedule for 2 semester-long electives. Semester electives are only half year, which means after the second quarter, when we transition to the third quarter, they would move from one elective to the other. And then the third option for taking electives is 4 semester-long electives. So if your child decides not to take any year-long electives, they will start the school year with 2 electives, and then midway through the year, during the third quarter, or at the third quarter, they will switch into 2 additional semester electives.
At the middle school level, we do offer high school level courses for students to take and start earning credits towards graduation. Those classes include math, anything Algebra 1 or higher, as well as the world languages are high school level courses. So this means the content, the homework, the level of expectation is all going to be at the high school level. Students will receive 1 credit towards graduation upon completion of the course. That final grade that they receive in the course will become part of their high school transcript and their high school GPA. The GPA, or the grade point average, is what is reported to colleges when they apply in senior year, as and as well they'll be able to see the grade on the transcript. Some things to consider. Whether your child is ready for a high school level course is really their level of maturity, their interest level, their drive to participate in classes and ask questions of their teachers are all things to consider for readiness. In order to help your child have a successful first year of middle school, we just wanted to provide some tips. A lot of the time we hear from parents, I'm going to back off for the first quarter and just kind of see how they do, when really that's the time that they need you the most. Everything else is changing. They may not have their friends in their classes, their school bus route is different, the lunch is different. So it's good for you to be the constant for them. So if you are involved, stay involved, and then back off once they seem to have the hang of things. Usually that's around, winter break. We'll see, that transition for students. They really have a grasp of middle school. And when they come back from the break, that's when they can kind of do on their own at that point. Phone use is going to be one of the biggest differences that you may see, setting those boundaries early and checking in with them often. So kids are not required to have phones for school purposes, and it's totally okay for them to not have one if that's your own personal comfort level. Of course, in this virtual age of schooling, everything's a little bit differently. But just, supervise those activities and monitor their technology. You don't need to invade their privacy or anything like that. But just, making sure you're checking in every once in a while about it. Also, again, just helping your child find, brainstorm, and solve their own problems really kind of helps them to grow in confidence and grows their problem solving abilities. So small things like figuring out where is a good place to do homework, what clubs am I interested in doing, and do they fit with my schedule? Are they comfortable riding the late bus home by themselves? Are they comfortable walking to and from school by themselves? Things like that. Just, make sure that you know what their concerns are as well as your concerns, and identify those potential challenges in the transition to middle school for your child. Make a plan for how to handle those challenges, and you can kind of start having those conversations together. If you need some more support or ideas, definitely reach out to your elementary counselors now to talk about some of those things. But then you can reach out to their middle school counselor. We should have that information by mid to late August. You can reach out in order to discuss some of those things before the first day of school. Make sure that your expectations are clearly defined. So so that way your student doesn't have to guess what is okay, what grades are acceptable, if they're working hard, what does that look like? So make sure that you talk about those things as well. If your child does come to you with a concern, a lot of the time we find that they aren't looking for a solution. They just are looking to be heard. So if you listen for the little things, they will come to you for the big things. So please, just keep that in mind as you're laying the foundation for middle school. Our focus really is self-advocacy. So we want to help them to develop the skills to speak up by them going to talk to us as the counselors or their teachers, or talking to you all as their parents. So encourage them to do those things, and really model